And for a lot of us, when we feel like our core isn't strong enough, or there is an element in our life that isn't where it's supposed to be, a lot of the time, that is because we are not incorporating the entire body. We are just focusing on one area. This would be like saying, I want to be skinny without wanting to be healthy. And from a sense of like the concept of lines in my book, Interior Designer, we talk about this a lot when we talk about conflict, right? You have horizontal, vertical, and then dynamic lines. Dynamic lines is the concept of bringing a couple elements together, right? So like a woven pattern that grounds the room or unites the room, right? So any kind of pattern which is conflicting. For a lot of us, we believe that conflict is a bad thing, or we have this commitment to only doing one thing at a time. And it's important to do one thing at a time, but it's also important to know that when we communicate about the body, for a lot of us, we're just focusing on one element of the body rather than incorporating the entire body. The goal of the day is to incorporate ourselves fully and integrate that into our experience. And when I say that, it's the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, all the elements. The goal is to bring them together as we enter the day. So coming back to this yoga experience, so we were working on balance and core, and there was a struggle in building that core, right? So it's like my core is not strong enough. I don't have the muscle to facilitate balance or to lift my leg in the air, right? So this is what was communicated. And the message that I shared, which is such an important part of how we move through our day, was what I said to this person was, your balance isn't only dependent on how strong your core is. Your balance is dependent on how you incorporate all the elements. So the first suggestion, so we built it up and we're going to build it here. And then I want you to take something in your life that you feel you are struggling to find complete support, right? Because the lack of a core, or when we're missing part of our core, a lot of time that is the lack of support, right? So that's lack of physical support. But for a lot of us, we're missing support in different areas. It could be spiritually, it could be emotionally. So these elements can be applied to every experience, really. So the first thing I mentioned was, what we need to do is we need to see with our eyes, right? When I say see with our eyes, I don't mean see with your brain, because for a lot of us, we are examining everything with our brain rather than actually looking at something with our eyes, right? Which is key. So something that's really interesting about yoga is that when we give an instruction, right? If I say to you, if I want you to bend over, right? Fully, our body will follow our eyes, right? So it's the concept of Vilosa Sura. When we're giving a yoga instruction, we're giving a breath, right? We're asking somebody to inhale. And when we communicate the posture, we communicate where their eyes should go, and the body will follow. So if I say to you, look between your legs,